In this video, we're going to continue to model and sculpt our mesh in ZBRUSH. So we continue the work that we were doing in the previous video when we started to work with the main brushes, the most important brushes. Now, you saw at the beginning of the course that you can also customize the interface. So in my opinion, now is the time to start to figure out which are the brushes that you use the most, and you can then save them. So in my case, I usually start when I have the draft model. We saw how we can go from the draft to add some details. So usually I start with the move brush. This is one of the first that I use, move and move topological, so that I can affect the overall shape of the character, try to define like the bigger parts, the bigger detail, like the head and the expression of the face, the position of the neck, of the ear, of the jaw. So usually this is one that I will probably put there in the interface, save there in the interface. Now topological move topological also, it's really important, and it's just a little bit different from the standard move. Now when you use move topological, it's going to concentrate on one single part. So if you use move topological here, for example, for the nose or the mouth, it's going to concentrate there. It's not going to affect like other nearby areas, especially if they are divided. So that's the difference between move and move topological brush. Now, if I go in the preferences, go to the config, I can enable customize. So I can just start to click and drag, holding Control and Alt my brushes and create my like bar on the bottom. You will find also other interfaces, preset interfaces, where we have the standard, the clay build-up, and the move tool. And also we have this edge polish, and trim dynamic, which are for like more hard edged shapes. And we also find these standard materials. So again, by moving forward and backward in the various interface layouts, you will find also one with already some of the basic brushes. So we focused on the basic brushes in the previous video. We will continue to do that also here in this video and in the following. So the next one I will probably use to go a little bit more in detail is the standard. So next to the move and other like inflat or magnify, I would use the standard. Now with the standard, you can go from pretty big details to really fine details. So it just depends on the size, the focal shift, and the draw size and it's going to affect the size of the detail that you are working on. So just by using the standard tool, you can do a lot of things. Standard tool is probably the one that you're going to spend the most of your time, and again, you are kind of defining the overall shape, but not like you can see there the tip of the nose can be adjusted with the move tool, but also with the standard. So sometimes standard, move, they do similar things depending on what you need to do. So you can see now I'm just trying to sculpt first and then hold the shift key. So the shift key, which is the smooth tool, is another really basic and important tool. So probably 50% of the time you're going to be on the shift, which is the smooth. And we also tell that if you hold Alt, you click and drag, you go the opposite. So you're going to like carve parts out. Again, we are using the standard in a really small size. You can see I can create here the nostrils, the bottom part of the nose, the mouth, and other more specific part. So it's just a matter of sculpting and smoothing, sculpting and smoothing, sculpting and smoothing using the standard brush. Now next, when I want to go more in detail, I usually use the clay brushes. Now sculpting in ZBrush, it's all about clay because it's kind of the main material that you're using. So by using standard clay brush, using the clay build up, using the other clay brushes, you can do a lot of things. You can add details, we saw that before, and you can like sculpt muscles and like fibers of the muscles. and then again you go with a smooth things out. Now the more you smooth, the more you're gonna lose details. So it's just your call if you want to have like those details more visible or less visible. But if you don't want to see them, just continue to press shift key, and they're gonna be like completely merged with the rest of the mesh. So you can see here how I am placing these like muscles fibers around, or you can also use this for bones. So here I want to show more bones in this part, and if you go in the opposite with the alt key, it's going to do the same thing of the standard brush. So again, like all the brushes they're going to use, they're going to be like variation on the main standard brush. With the standard brush you can do most of the things. If you want to do a little bit more like clay sculpting, use the clay, and still you're gonna use the alt key a lot and the shift key a lot to smooth or to like go the opposite way. And then we also saw the clay buildup. Now clay buildup also is gonna kind of place more clay on top of what you're doing. So it's like a mixture of the standard brush in a positive way. And you can see here, I can just apply all of these fibers of the muscles and then decide later if I want to leave them like this or smooth them a lot or just leave them a little bit visible more or less, depending if I want to do an alien here or a human, or perhaps I want to do like an armature or some airs or some strange fibers for a creature. Now depending on that, you can see here that I can shift more or less. If I shift a lot, so if I smooth a lot, if I hold shift and click and smooth a lot, those are going to be gone eventually. So if I continue to smooth, continue to smooth, continue to smooth, you can see they're going to disappear. They're going to be like placed back to the original position. So again, it's a choice depending on what you want to do. So you can see how things are kind of taking shape here, how they are getting more defined and more in detail. You can see the face is, you know, kind of getting an expression, and also the body is kind of getting more and more realistic. Now I want to show you how you can also use objects from the web or objects from other software that you usually use. Now this is Sketchfab right here, and this is a bust of a Roman emperor. It's Mark Aurelio. So you can download the mesh, just search for it here in Sketchfab, and this is CC0, so it's public domain. You can download it and use it, and you can see this is the title, this is the author if you want to look for it, and those are the triangles, and it's CC0 public domain, and you can see this has been probably created with ZBRUSH. So it's just an example of how you can create a bust, so a sculpture in ZBRUSH. And you can see you have OBJ, so you can download directly OBJ, or you have GLTF. Now in the case of GLTF, remember you need to go through Blender if you want, and you can just import it and then re-export them. But in this case, I'm just going to import the OBJ. Now, why do I want to do that? First, because I probably want to use some reference. So we saw how we can use 2D reference, but we can also use 3D reference. Now, if we right click, we can go in the properties and see the file format. And we have two here, so probably the bigger one in size is going to be the one that is going to be more detailed. So I'm going to go with that, and there you go. So I can take this and use it as a reference, or I can just study this. You can see how the air were made. You can see, and this is how sculpture was in the past. So at the time of the Romans, they didn't like apply things, they just sculpt